Yamuna tira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Govardhana Radha Govardhana Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Jai Giri Govardhan Krishna Balaram Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Giri Govardhan Jai Krishna Balaram Jai Giri Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya Gaurani Tai Jai Jai Prabhupada. I'm allergic to that. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Jai Prabhupada. Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajakacarya Shila Astutar His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki. Ganga Devi ki jai, Yamuna Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So, Hare Krishna everyone, good morning. Thank you for coming for class. So today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 36, entitled Conversation Between Maitreya and Vidura, and we are reading from text 36. And before we start, we'll chant the invocation prayers to the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naikatrate jayate shalini pada padmam. Nanantya muhu karatalena patat patangam. Madhyam vishidati brihatstana bharabitam. Santeva drishtir amala susika samuha. Naikatrate jayati shalini pada padmam. Nanantya muhu karatalena patat patangam. Madhyam vishidati prihatstana bharabitam. Santeva drishtir amala sushika samuha. Naikatrate jayati shalini pada. Santeva drishtir amala susika samuha. Naikatrate jayati shalini pada padmam. Nanantya muhu karatalena patat patangam. Madhyam vishidati brihatstana bharabitam. Santeva drishtir amala susika samuha. Word for word, na, not, ekatra, in one place, te, yo, jayati, stay, shalini, O beautiful woman, pada padmam, lotus feet, nanantya, striking, muhu, again and again, karatalena, by the palm of the hand, patat, bouncing, patangam, the bowl. Madhyam, waist. Vishidati, gets fatigued. Brihat, full grown. Stana, of your breasts. Vara, by the weight. Pitam, oppressed. Shanta, iva, as if fatigued. Drishtihi, vision. Amala, clear. Su, beautiful. Shika, your hair. Samuha, bunch. Translation. O beautiful woman, when you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your full-grown breasts, your waist becomes fatigued and your clear vision grows dull. As it were, pray braid your comely hair. Please repeat, O beautiful woman. When you strike the bouncing ball against the ground with your hand again and again, your lotus feet do not stay in one place. Oppressed by the weight of your full-grown breasts, your waist becomes fatigued and your clear vision grows dull, as it were. Pray braid your comely hair. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The demons observed beautiful gestures in the woman's every step. Here they praise her full-grown breasts, her scattered hair, and her movements in stepping forward and backward while playing with the ball. In every step they enjoy her womanly beauty, and while they enjoy her beauty, their minds become agitated by sex desire. As moths at night surround a fire and are killed, so the demons become victims of the movements of the ball-like breasts of a beautiful woman. The scattered hair of a beautiful woman also afflicts the heart of a lusty demon. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhutale Shrimate Krishna Goswami Dhamini. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivinoda Dhamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vishnu. So I seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that will be beneficial to all of us, and especially I'm speaking for my self-purification, and whatever I'm speaking, I'm repeating from what I've heard and read, and I hope that this also can go deep within my heart and I can practice this knowledge. So those who are not familiar, every day we have Srimad Bhagavatam class, Monday to Friday, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita class on the weekends, and there's different speakers who speak, and we all speak according to our level of realization, so that for the benefit of all of us, that this practice was established by Srila Prabhupada, so that we can associate with each other and help each other on this path. So one may question that in this purport, we come to a temple or a place of worship, and it's talking about sex desire, and it's describing the full-grown, beautiful breasts of a woman and her scattered hair. And one may think this is all materialistic, but actually, one of the books that Srila Prabhupada wrote, the Sri Ishopanishad, it says that we need to learn both nations and knowledge about the spiritual world side by side, because this will help us. Just like if we are living in a material world, if we don't know what we need to avoid, for example, we're driving the car and we know that the rule in our country, in Australia, is that we stick to the left. So if we don't know the consequences of doing the wrong thing, or we don't have knowledge of what is not the right way to do it, or the authorized or the legal way by the law, then we will be likely to commit mistakes or break the law. So it's important for us to know both sides of the world, material and spiritual world. And that knowledge is spiritual because it's connected to Krishna. So speaking in context to this verse, this is a conversation between two great saints, Maitreya and Vidura. So this Srimad Bhagavatam, it includes many conversations in it. And in this conversation, they're talking about how Lord Brahma, who is the first progenitor, the creator of this material world, just like we have an engineer, he has all the materials, which Krishna has provided all the materials, and Brahma is the engineer who puts together all these material components. So it's talking about how he created other progenitors to create the material world. So in the previous descriptions also I'll touch on that as well because it's related to this purport. It describes the woman has full-grown beautiful breasts, and in text 31 it says the breasts are projected upwards, her scattered hair adorned with dark tresses, that's also in 31, and her movements agitate the mind towards sex, desire, lust. And it also talks about her shapely nose in text 30, her beautiful teeth, her lovely smile, the tinkling bangles, the girdle on her hips. So all these may seem very attractive, and maybe for a lady, the man's form is very attractive, or in this day and age now, in modern times, we can't, this gender neutral, so we can only say the object of one's attraction. So whatever it may be, it's all material. Prabhupada mentions in 3.20.34 Srimad Bhagavatam that the demons in the previous verses, it says they were tantalized by the commodity of beauty. And in the purport, Prabhupada mentions there that that mentality enamored by the false beauty of this material world, it's only skin beauty. So people in this world work so hard day and night just to have some sex enjoyment. So sometimes it may not even be sex enjoyment, but some material sense gratification to try to enjoy this material world separate from it being in connection with the Lord. So in the previous verse 3:20-33, it says that when the evening twilight appeared to the demons who are wicked-minded, to them, to Lord Brahma, it just appears as some mist. But to the wicked-minded demons, the mist, the twilight, was endowed with the form of a young woman. So that was their object of sense gratification. So it's not so much the external, because we see even in our Krishna consciousness movement or any spiritual organization, there are people who are very attractive and they get married. So what is the difference between someone who gets married with God in the center, with Krishna in the center, and a person who has a demoniac mentality, which we need to be reminded that we all have this propensity to commit sins, or this mentality of trying to enjoy the objects of the material world separately from God, from Krishna. So it's the mentality, the consciousness that we need to correct. So a godly person is attracted by Radha and Krishna's beauty, so we are attracted to the forms of the Lord. But a person who's demoniac, like in this previous verses and also today's verse, it says that the demoniac person's the mentality of that sinful desires, they're attracted by the false beauty of this material world. So Prabhupada gives the example just like an office worker. There's two people who are working in the office. So one is a godly person, Krishna conscious, and one is just trying to enjoy his senses. So they both externally may appear to be working the same office job, doing the same kind of work, but what is the objective? What is the intention and mentality of both? There's a vast ocean of difference. For a godly person, they are earning that money so that they can buy things to maintain their house, which they see as a gift from the Lord. And whatever they eat, whatever they wear, whatever they do, they give it as an offering to the Lord. They drive to the temple or the church or the mosque, whatever they do in godly persons, they utilize their income for serving God's mission. So we also have programs like Food for Life. So someone may also say that there's humanitarian work going on, like the World Health Organization. When there's famine in a country, there's suffering, then the food goes out. So that is very beneficial in one sense. Yes, it will help the material body, but it won't nourish the soul. So the difference between just even vegetarian food and food that is blessed by the Lord, that's offered to the Lord and sanctified by the Lord, is also a vast ocean of difference, because the food which is not offered to the Lord may only nourish the physical body, but the food that is offered to the Lord nourishes the body both physically, health-wise, and also spiritually, where all those layers within ourselves, like an onion, are gradually removed. Those material coverings, they're gradually removed by eating blessed food, sanctified prasadam offered to the Lord. So whatever there is in the material world externally, everything can be used in service of the Lord, and then it becomes purified. So in this purport, it says that these demoniac-minded persons, they were attracted to the beautiful breasts of a woman. So we know the classic example that we hear of in the scriptures that Srila Prabhupada has kindly translated for us, is the example of a great saint whose name is Haridas Thakur. So when he was very young and very attractive looking, and he was born in a Mohammedan family, a Muslim background, so he was both cast aside by the so-called caste Hindus and also by the Muslims who were envious of him. So there was some propaganda against him. So one of the persons, a person in management during that time, sent this very attractive prostitute to Haridas Thakur. So he's very attractive, young looking, and there's a beautiful young woman who's actually was the personification of Maya Devi, the Lord's illusory energy. So imagine ordinary women. Nowadays we see these supermodels, they're so beautiful, they got a beautiful shapely body, attractive form. But this woman was so attractive, she was the personification of Maya Devi. So all that beauty combined together was in her form. And he was chanting the holy names of the Lord. And he was, she said, I want you to satisfy my sexual desire. So he didn't leave that place. He said, okay, sit down and wait for me to finish my prescribed number of rounds, because he made a vow, he made a commitment. And he said, okay, when I do that, then I'll satisfy your desires. So one may question that why would a great saint actually say that to her? He didn't get angry with her, he didn't chase her away. But the great saintly person of that consciousness, of that caliber, I mean, I would, if I had a little bit of intelligence, I would run away from that place or start yelling that person that what you're doing. But this great saint, the consciousness of these great saintly persons is that they want to also elevate those around them. So by her hearing the holy names of the Lord that he was chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gradually, I think it was just 3 days, was it 3 days? She kept hearing the chanting of the holy names, and she gradually became purified herself, and she gave up her materialistic life. She gave all her earnings that she earned through sinful means, and she started chanting the holy names of the Lord. And the Vaishnavas, the saintly devotees, also took shelter of her as a guru, because that's the power of the holy name and the power of the pure devotees of the Lord. That we may think that we are beyond, sometimes we do things, and we are covered by the material modes of passion and ignorance, and we think we are so fallen. But actually the power of the holy name is so powerful that it can purify even the most sinful persons. So we still have hope that we can become purified and please Krishna and the devotees. Just like in yesterday's class, Vishnujan Prabhu was talking that if we have some problem, maybe for example with lust, we may go to the psychologist and psychiatrist, and we can get some help to get some techniques of how to work around it and change the bad habits. But actually the real change of heart can only happen when we have a higher taste, a higher spiritual taste, because material things, the only thing absolute in the material world is change. So the material world, everything is changing. The spiritual world, everything is pure and ever fresh and ever expanding. So by practicing spiritual life, we see that even in the Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada, he went to the lower east side in the Bowery, and he was preaching to people who were from such low backgrounds and low consciousness. They were engaged in illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating. But their heart became so purified just by contact with the pure devotees such as Srila Prabhupada, who was giving this message transparently, directly coming from Krishna himself, and through the disciplic succession, he gave this pure knowledge as it is. And because he himself is a pure devotee practicing, then the hearts of these persons became purified. And now, coming from such a degraded background, they were elevated to such high positions, as some of them you have even taken up formal vows of sannyas or renunciation, where they give spiritual guidance and they take disciples to guide them on the spiritual path, serving their dear spiritual master Srila Prabhupada's mission and acting as agents of the pure devotee. And even us, all of us as aspiring devotees, we are trying to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada and his followers and the previous acharyas. So it all comes down to the consciousness. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:20-28, it's mentioned there that in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that absorbed in some thought which is sinful. But if we give up the sinful thought, so it was mentioning how when Lord Brahma was creating, he also created darkness and twilight, and then he was giving up that body. So he was giving up that subtle body, that consciousness. Just like we notice in our own lives, where we have a bad thought or a sinful thought, then we pray to Krishna, please help me to overcome this material desire, this anarthas, this degrading consciousness in my heart and mind, please help me. Then we can, and by the association of devotees, by reading the books, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So we are also casting off, giving up that consciousness. So it's a constant practice. It's just like eating food. It's not that I eat today and I'm fully sustained, I had a healthy, full of vitamins and nutritious diet, then I don't need to eat tomorrow. No, the spiritual life is as Vishnujan Prabhu was saying, it's a long haul, it's a long process. It's a lifetime's work, and not just one lifetime, many lifetimes of work. So just like we need to eat every day, we need to also nourish our spiritual life by hearing, chanting, associating with devotees, doing service for the pleasure of the Lord and his pure devotees. So one example that comes to mind is when my husband and I recently, we went to Vrindavan for Kartik, and we went for a few days to Vrindavan. And Urmila Mataji, who is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, she was giving class one day, and it was talking about, the verse was about Lord Balaram and how he got angry with this gorilla demon called Vivida. And she was talking about how she gave us a strategy, a technique that whenever anger arises or lust or anything, we try to remember a pastime of the pure devotee or of Krishna's expansions in that context, and then we can it can dissipate. Because she said that actually it's a bodily reaction. So if we don't feed that lust, that anger, after 20 minutes it's going to dissipate. But if we feed that anger, we keep thinking, oh, why did they do that? And this happened, and it's not fair, and that. We keep feeding it. But if we don't feed it and we just take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, we chant the holy names, and we pray that, please help me, what is the lesson to be learned in this? Then after 20 minutes it passes, and then we can also, in that process, we can meditate, okay, Lord Balaram got angry. Why did he get angry? Because this person, this Dvivida gorilla, he was harassing the gopis, Lord Balaram's gopis. Or we can think about the pastime of Hanuman, when the great servant of Lord Ram, when Ravana, the great demoniac personality, kidnapped the wife of Lord Ram, Sita, then Hanuman went also looking for her, and he went to Lanka and he burnt the whole city of Lanka. So he used his anger in service of the Lord. So when we are feeling angry, we can meditate on these pastimes and also don't feed that anger, then it will dissipate. Similarly, lust, we can think of the gopis' attraction for Krishna, that they loved him so much that they gave up everything just for his pleasure. Or we can think of the pastime of Haridas Thakur, that he was not overcome by the lustful approach of Maya Devi, the prostitute. So we can give up this sinful mentality by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet and of his pastimes and the association of devotees and chanting the holy names. So in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, he's talking to Krishna, and this is a great conversation that's taking place on the battlefield. And what could be more difficult than a conversation that's taking place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? So we are actually all in the material world, and we are actually also fighting a battle with this constant bombarding of the material energy to try to dumb down and lower our consciousness. So we forget that this human form of life is very rare. It's compared to a diamond. So if someone gets a very rare diamond and that they use that diamond to crack nuts, that is not very intelligent thing to do. So this human form of life is very rare. In Bhagavad Gita, it says there that we are a spirit soul, and whatever activities we do, whether good or bad, we get a karmic reaction, and then we reincarnate. So if we are eating meat and we dumb down our consciousness, we'll take birth in the animal kingdom, where we take birth in carnivorous animals like the tiger or the lion, and then we have to go through this cycle of 8,400,000 species of life before we get to this human form of life. So do we really want to waste this rare diamond to crack nuts? The animals are also eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. We're doing the same thing. We're trying to enjoy sex life in a high skyscraper building, but the dog on the street is enjoying the same degree of sense gratification, openly having sex with the female dog. So it's just polished animal life. And please forgive me if I'm speaking heavy. I'm actually trying to preach to my own mind, the consciousness that I can become purified. So anything in the material world, we're trying to enjoy, but this human form of life is very rare because we have this propensity, we have that ability to inquire, who am I, who is God, what is my purpose in life? And then we can get out of this cycle of birth and death. It's like a Ferris wheel. Whatever good things we do, we take a birth in a higher family or in a first world country like Australia, we're enjoying. But if we degrade our consciousness, we're going to take birth in a lower. And if we're lucky, we take birth in a human form. But if we're not lucky, we finished. 8,400,000 species again, we have to wait. Of course, there's no hellfire and damnation. There's always hope. In Krishna consciousness, we understand the philosophy. There's never eternal damnation. But still, we don't want to use the diamond to crack nuts. So take this rare opportunity of human birth and inquire into the higher purposes of life. So Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is inquiring from Krishna that he says in 336, Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness, he's asking Krishna, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So sometimes we also see within ourselves, even us as aspiring devotees, that we are also overcome by lower desires and we not connected to Krishna. So the answer Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita 3:37, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. And in the purport of that verse, it says there that we all have partial independence, and if we misuse that, just like if we misuse that diamond to crack nuts, then that service attitude, that our innate nature of the spirit soul, which is servant of the Supreme Lord, that service attitude is transformed into the propensity for sense enjoyment. So Prabhupada mentions here in this verse, in the purport, that it's like a moth attracted to the flames of a fire at night. So it's like that, we are pouring fuel into the fire. Prabhupada mentions there that if we're trying to curb the fire and we keep adding fuel, it may look like it's going down initially, but then it becomes a blazing inferno. So we need to not feed that fire and take shelter of Krishna and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So this spiritual sound vibration, the holy names of the Lord, is coming down directly from the spiritual world. And in this day and age, Kali Yuga, the best means of purification is this Sankirtan Yagya. Yagya means sacrifice. So in all the ages, there was some form of sacrifice. In the golden age, Satya Yuga, there was meditation. And then in Treta Yuga, the silver age, there was fire sacrifices. And then in the Dwapara, the bronze age, there was worship of the deities. And then in Kali Yuga, this current iron age, the Sankirtan movement, the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, is the means of getting out of this material world. And just by chanting the holy names, it's such a simple process, but it's so potent and powerful that we don't have to go through all this meditation and big fire sacrifice. Just by this process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we can become purified, and we can go back to the spiritual world where there's also activity. Just like in these paintings we can see up here, in the spiritual world, it's not just like a wisp of air or some smoke or something. We have form. Everything that's in the material world is a perverted reflection of what is in the spiritual world. Just like Prabhupada gives the example in Bhagavad Gita that if one stands at the edge of a lake, like here we have the tree, and if we look at the tree in the water, it looks like the roots are upwards and the branches are downwards. So in the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, that it's all contaminated and mixed up because we're trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. So this yagya means sacrifice. In Bhagavad Gita, we're doing Bhakti Shastri with Ikshvaku Prabhu, and the verses he often reminds us, and it's kind of drilled into us, is that in Bhagavad Gita 3:9-16, it talks about the purpose of the Vedas, which is yagya, sacrifice. So this human form of life, we can either choose to sacrifice it for material sense gratification or for the supreme higher purpose. So in Bhagavad Gita 3:43, Krishna also, Prabhupada mentions there that we can overcome this last by deliberate spiritual intelligence. And in the etymological dictionary, the meaning of the word deliberate or deliberate means done with careful consideration. Just like in the mature world, the children, they grow up and the parents guide them and they're actually carefully thinking, what's my future? Am I going to go to university or am I going to get an apprentice job? What's my career path? So we think about this very carefully. But why not for spiritual life? Spiritual life, yes, it's for everyone, but it's not something like airy-fairy and I'll do whatever and I'll get some benefit. No, in spiritual life is even more careful we need to be. We need to deliberate spiritual intelligence. We need to apply it. It's not something cheap that we can, spiritual life is not easy sometimes, and it's not a cheap thing. If you want to obtain a rare diamond, we have to pay the price for it. Just like in the material world, someone wants to become a lawyer, then they have to work hard to become a lawyer. They have all these exams, they won't go partying, they will sacrifice that for a higher goal. So in human life, that higher goal is to understand who we are. We are the servant of the Lord, and what is our purpose in this life? To act in service to the Lord so we can get out of this material world and go back to the spiritual world where we can regain our eternal spiritual form, and we don't have to go through birth, death, old age and disease in the material world. Because even if we are living here right now in Australia, we still also have birth, death, old age and disease. It's not that the mortality rate is any less in a first world country. It's 100%. Prabhupada says 100% death. Wherever we are, we may be enjoying very high level of sense gratification, but we're still in the material world. So in Bhagavad Gita, I'll just quickly end here with the verse Bhagavad Gita 3:41. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that we can overcome or curb this lust by regulating our senses, because we understand in Bhagavad Gita that just like in military, the general will tell the strategic positions of the enemy. So the position of lust, that desire, is positioned in the senses, the intelligence, and the mind. So Krishna is telling Arjuna in 3:41 that we need to regulate our senses. So this is how habits are formed, even materially. We have a schedule we regulate. If you want to study, we regulate our schedule, so we fit in our eating, our resting, and our study. So this habit formation, it says the process by which a behavior becomes automatic through repetition. So it's a cultivation, because we're cultivating because we have a certain goal in mind. So even materially, if someone wants to become a great sports person, like in the Olympics, they'll wake up very early in the morning, 3 o'clock, they're rowing the canoe, they're exercising their muscles, they're doing all that. So even materially, there is a cultivation. So spiritually is even more responsibility. We need to cultivate this practice. And so because we know we want something higher, and then we can become happy both in this world, because we're connecting everything to Krishna, and then at the end of the life, maybe this life or maybe some other future life, but we always depend on Krishna, that ultimately we'll go back to the spiritual world so we can eternally serve Him and His dear devotees. And we keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'll end there. If anyone has any questions, comments, corrections.
Thank you, Mataji. You mentioned that the verse is speaking about how the demons kind of manifest as personality, and it's kind of symbolic of the material world being their object of enjoyment. And you spoke on how the Maha Mantra and the practice that Srila Prabhupada has established for us is supposed to safeguard us from lust. What is the missing ingredient for those who safeguard themselves quite well, but still fall down? What is when they're chanting and absorbed in the practice? What is the missing ingredient, would you say, that they forgot to add, or perhaps were not careful?
Thank you. So Prabhu is asking the question that even when someone, aspiring devotee, is practicing and they may fall away from the practice because of some weakness of heart or some other material desires, so what is that missing ingredient? So we all on this journey, and it's been many lifetimes. So we see sometimes someone comes new to the Krishna consciousness movement and they speed up so fast, and you think, oh, because it's from a previous life. So it's many lifetimes of progress. So we all, even we can see within ourselves that we're not always 100%. We sometimes fall short. So it's just like a child is learning to walk. When they're learning to walk, they fall down and then they scrape their knees and they're bleeding. So it's not that they give up, and they keep getting up, and then the ones around them, the parents, the well-wishers, they encourage them to keep going forward. So we should never give up, and always encourage each other, and it's going to happen. A child learning to walk, they're going to fall. It's not that it doesn't happen. Everyone goes through through difficulties. So it may appear that some of the devotees may not go through that and they quite fixed up, but that's many lifetimes of practice. So we just keep helping each other. Never leave the Krishna consciousness movement. Never leave the shelter of the devotees and Krishna, because material life, spiritual life may be difficult, like ISKCON Swami says, but material life is impossible. We just keep, So it's not that when we see someone, or even within ourselves, that we beat ourselves up and say, oh, so fallen, I can't get there. We always keep trying, keep practicing. I hope that helps. It's not exactly the answer. Krishna. Wait for the microphone.
Just one comment on that. If we have offenses in the chanting, then that also is if the major one is aparadha to Vaishnavas. So we have to be very careful with that. Just wanted to add on.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Vaishnava aparadha is the mad elephant offense, as Sita Mataji was mentioning. But even then, it's not eternal hellfire and damnation, because we see in the Krishna consciousness movement, it can be if we commit offenses to devotees, it's checked. Our spiritual progress is checked, but it's not eternally. We need to rectify ourselves, go bow down and beg forgiveness from that devotee. So we are never ever barred from making progress. There's always hope. So we keep progressing, but we need to be very careful of this mad elephant disease. It's like an elephant that goes in a field, it destroys everything. So that's like if you commit offenses to a devotee of the Lord, that's like a mad elephant. Everything's destroyed. But that seed of bhakti will still remain, but yeah, it's curtailed for a long time. Yep, thank you. Anything else?
Just, do you want to ask? I have short question. You know this 20 seconds technique that you wait 20 seconds and then your anger subsides.
Yeah.
So what if our counterpart needs to learn some lesson, and he or she won't learn it unless he got anger from someone? So how to deal with that? So we can suppress our anger, and okay, I'm humble, and that person won't learn a lesson. So how to deal with that?
You are more senior than me, but I'll just try to answer according to what my realization, what I've heard and read, is that the example of Prabhupada, that sometimes he would also get angry with a disciple. And we hear many of Prabhupada memories. They say that Prabhupada would be so angry, why they did that, because it's in service to Krishna. So anger is utilized in service to Krishna. And then the next moment, he's like, interacting with someone else, it's completely, he's not contaminated by anger. So if someone needs to learn a lesson, so we utilize that anger, just like a parent will get angry with a child. Because sometimes you need to be heavy with the child so that they can learn the lesson. It's actually out of love, tough love. But then also we need to remember within ourselves that who am I? I'm not the agent of their karma or their correction. I do it as a service. And if it's my service, and if they still don't want to learn that lesson, I know that I did my part, I did my duty in serving them. That's their own journey. And they will, just like in our own lives, we see, if I don't learn this lesson, it's keep coming back, and it's getting heavier and heavier. So the same applies to others. If they don't want to learn the lesson, then unfortunately the lesson is going to be harder. But we need to, within ourselves, be detached. Yeah, because it's like I'm really telling myself this because I am fall short of this and I am totally not there. But I remember this class Ambika Mataji gave, and she said, she gave the example, it was the day of Pundarik Brijanidhi, that pastime Odana Shasti. So we need to be so careful of this indignation, justified indignation. They did this, like even Urmila Mataji, that same class I was mentioning, she talked about righteous indignation. Yes, we can say, anger can be utilized in Krishna's service, but we have to be so careful that we're not justifying our anger. It's for service, it's for Krishna. And I'm telling myself this. So just within ourselves, we need to step back a little bit and say, okay, Krishna, I'm becoming contaminated. Please help me. I did my duty, I did my part. Now you deal with this and you manage it. Yeah. And even sometimes we may go to the higher authorities, the management, and if nothing's being done, or if they did something and there's no correction, then there's some higher plan of Krishna's. Just like I was reading years ago, Krishna Dharma Prabhu's book, Ramayan, in his version, it says that Ravana's cup of sin had to overflow. So why did Krishna, the Lord, allow Ravana to commit so many atrocities for such a long time? Because his cup of sin had to fill up, and then he was smashed heavy. Now, sometimes the ministers were trying to correct even Kamsa, and then they turned around and that. So it's not that anyone, even for ourselves, the corrections are coming, but if we're not seeing, okay, just the easy correction, there it says that, okay, now I'll apply it, then it's going to get harder and harder. We're going to be hit on the head, and we're going to be really smashed if we don't take it. Yeah, hope that helps. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.